a camera the size of a car, 10 million objects tracked every single night, a survey of the universe near and far. This isn't science fiction. This is the Vera C. Rubin Observatory. And if you're watching this, it just turned on. Join our very own Dr. David James as he takes you up a mountain and on an exclusive tour of the Rubin Observatory as it gets ready to start the largest astronomical survey of all time. Join us above the clouds.
Hello there, and welcome to this very special episode of Astraveo's Above the Clouds series, where I describe the complete privilege of taking an amazing tour of the Vera C. Rubin Observatory on Cerro Pachón in Chile. Now, as you all know, I'm an absolute geek machine for telescopes, which are the bread and butter for the last 30 years or so of my astronomical career, and I just couldn't pass up this unbelievable once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. So it came to be on the 28th of December this past year, while observing on the Blanco 4-meter telescope on Cerro Tololo, which is near La Serena, Chile, I was using the 570 megapixel dark energy camera. Well, I got talking to an old friend and colleague, Dr. Bob Blum. Well, he just so happens to be the director of Rubin Observatory operations. Of course, he knows me well enough to realise that I was completely deer in headlights, head over heels excited to see this state-of-the-art new astronomical observatory, and he very generously allowed me the opportunity to visit the telescope and go behind the scenes to receive a tour that I could only have dreamt about as a small child when my head was above the clouds back home in Wales. Taking a special four-wheel drive transport over from Cerro Tololo to Cerro Pachón with Jorge Mila, a friend of mine at the Cerro Tololo Inter-American Observatory, we drove the approximately 13 kilometers dirt track road up to the Rubin Observatory with me babbling away like an excited schoolboy, all the while pointing out details of the neighbouring Gemini South and SOAR telescope domes. Poor Jorge, he was so patient with me. Why is this new observatory so special? Well, it happens to be named after the famous American astronomer Dr. Vera C. Rubin, who is probably most renowned for discovering observational evidence of dark energy and dark matter from her seminal galaxy rotation curves research. This brand new 8.4 meter telescope hosts a world's largest, in astronomy anyway, 3.2 gigapixel imaging camera, which will survey the entire southern sky every 3 nights or so for the next 10 years. This camera has nearly 6 times the number of pixels as the dark energy camera has, already itself a breathtaking feat of detector engineering. Why is this so special? Well, by conducting a legacy survey of space and time, or LSST for short as we astronomers call it, the telescope will detect, measure and quantify basically anything that changes in the night sky, a so-called synoptic survey. By conducting this survey, topics such as mapping and studying dark energy and dark matter, finding solar system asteroids, including ones hazardous to the Earth, characterizing supernovae explosions, finding binary stars orbiting and eclipsing each other, watching extrasolar planets eclipse their host stars, and mapping the stellar content of our Milky Way galaxy can all be studied in groundbreaking, very, very high precision. The LSST experiment will revolutionize ground-based imaging surveys and should provide enough astronomical data to keep astronomers busy for the next 2 to 3 decades. First light of this new observatory is slated for the 3rd of July this year, and is sure to be just the most incredibly exciting moment for this dedicated, international and diverse team of astronomers, engineers, optical specialists, project managers, technical staff. Joseph and I cannot wait. We are so excited. With an approximate $750 million price tag and nearly 20 years in the conception, design and construction, the Vera C. Rubin Observatory really is a marvel of modern engineering. At an altitude of 2,670 meters, or 8,770 feet on Cerro Pachón, the massive, specially designed rotating dome enclosure weighs nearly 130 metric tons. That's about the same weight as an Antarctic blue whale. It is 27 meters, or 89 feet in height, which is about twice the height of a brachiosaur, one of the tallest dinosaurs to ever roam the Earth, and is nearly 30 meters, or 100 feet in diameter. Standing next to it or being inside it, the dome makes you feel really very small indeed. The dome structure rotates on 14 specially wheeled motors called bogie trucks, which allow the dome to turn as the telescope rotates in azimuth as it tracks the astronomical sky. Apart from protecting the 8.4 meter Simony telescope from the elements, it also provides ventilation during nighttime operation through special louvers on the side of the dome. It allows for maintenance of the telescope and has special properties to allow it to remain in thermal equilibrium during the day. This turns out to be really important for minimizing the so-called dome seeing, which is a degradation of image quality due to thermal currents. You can think of it as shimmering mirage effects on hot roads. This tight dome also allows for testing and calibration of the telescope during the day. It really is an incredible feat of engineering. The Simony telescope itself is just a massive behemoth when you're standing right up next to it. The primary mirror, sometimes called M1, of this Alt-Az telescope is a single piece of polished glass 8.4 meters in diameter and is coated with highly reflective protective aluminium. The secondary mirror, sometimes called M2, is 3.4 meters in diameter and is the largest convex mirror ever made, and it is coated with protective silver. Now, silver tends to be more reflective in the near-infrared than aluminium, and this telescope and camera are really quite good at observing in the infrared. That's why I think they use silver on the mirror for M2. Finally, the tertiary mirror, sometimes called M3, is 5 meters in diameter and is also coated with protected aluminium. The combined optical train delivers a massive 35 square meters in collecting area for incoming photons from the night sky. With a focal length of just over 10 meters, the F number of the telescope is very, very low. It's only an f1.23. This makes it a so-called fast telescope, which normally means it is short and fat, has a very wide field of view, and is very efficient at collecting photons. The $170 million Rubin imaging camera is the largest digital camera ever constructed for astrophysics. It weighs an impressive 3 metric tons. That's similar to an adult female African elephant, and is the size of a small SUV. The camera itself contains 3,200 million pixels. That's 3.2 gigapixels, each of about 10 microns. That's only 1/100th of a millimeter to me and you. And it is capable of observing light from the blue UV cutoff of the Earth's atmosphere, down at 3,200 angstroms, or 320 nanometers, all the way up to the near infrared at 1.1 microns, or about 10,100 angstroms, or 1,100 nanometers. The camera uses a special set of Sloan UGRIZ-Y filters to detect the light at these different wavelengths. Now, these filters can be changed with a special carousel filter changer. Now, interestingly, it only holds 5 filters at any one time, which means if you want to observe with a 6th filter, it has to be changed during the day. When combined with the optical train, all those mirrors, the Rubin imaging camera has a pixel scale of 0.2 arcseconds on the sky, which is really very well matched to the observing conditions in the skies above Cerro Pachón. The detector system itself contains 189 individually charged coupled devices, 4K by 4K. What that really means is 4096 by 4096 pixels on the side. These sensors are cooled to about minus 100 degrees Celsius. What that means is we do that to minimize thermal noise. And these are energetic electrons that run around the circuitry, and this degrades the precision of the astronomical measurements that we make. All of these characteristics combined together means that the Rubin camera has a 3.5 degree field of view. Now that's about 7 full moons on the side, just absolutely enormous. And it can capture 40 times the area of the full moon with each exposure. The LSST experiment will generate about 15 terabytes of data each night of observation during its 10-year survey lifetime. That's about 250 DVD movies every single night. Over the next 10 years, Rubin's Simonyi telescope, servicing the Legacy Survey of Space and Time experiment, will target 4 specific areas of astrophysical science, as well as the hoped-for serendipitous, or lucky, discoveries that will inevitably be found. Most targeted observation fields in the entire southern sky will be observed about once every 3 days, resulting in an observing cadence of about 80 to 100 observations for each target field per year. That makes about 800 to 1,000 data points for most target stars, galaxies, and solar system objects over the next 10 years. This makes this experiment a truly synoptic survey endeavour, and should allow us to make time series variability and positional evolution maps of most objects detected on the 189 science sensors during this time. For this experiment, the 4 major science fields are likely to be: 1. Studying the dark energy and dark matter to map out the gravitational potential of the Milky Way and billions of other galaxies by the end of the 10-year survey. This is particularly important as we continue to test and probe Einstein's theory of relativity and verify the accelerating expansion of the universe, including the validation of Einstein's so-called cosmological constant. Having helped install, characterize, and operate the dark energy camera on the Blanco 4-meter telescope on Cerro Tololo, this project is particularly close to my heart, as I've been a full member of the Dark Energy Survey and the Delve Survey collaboration since their inception. Me and my fellow members of these international collaborations could not be more excited to see what the LSST experiment brings to our understanding of dark energy and Einstein's predictions. Number 2. Mapping and characterizing small objects in the solar system, such as asteroids, meteors, and Kuiper Belt objects, is particularly important for detecting and mapping out the orbits of near-Earth asteroids, especially those which may be potentially hazardous to life on Earth. It is estimated that over the 10-year lifetime of the LSST experiment, we should be able to fully map out the orbits of up to 6 million solar system small objects, as well as identifying a great many of the most potentially hazardous asteroids in and around Earth's orbit. Number 3. Discovering and characterizing transient, that means changing, astronomical phenomena such as novae and supernovae, quasars, gamma-ray bursts, binary star eclipses, eclipsing extrasolar planets, and many other types of variable or changing objects. This will allow astronomers and astrophysicists to better understand the universe and follow real brightness changes of the most interesting of these objects in real time. This project is particularly important to my Astraveo partner and good friend Joseph, as he studies a very rare type of supernova, the so-called double-peaked Type 2b supernovae, which essentially are core collapse supernovae that have lost most of their hydrogen before quote-unquote dying. Observing and characterizing these objects are incredibly informative about the end-of-life properties of massive stars, However, they're really hard to spot and study. And so up to now, astronomers only know of about less than 100 of them. With the advent of the LSST experiment, that number will likely grow to over 50,000 of them, allowing astronomers like Joseph to study and understand whole families of these objects. Why is this so important, you might say? Well, these massive star supernovae are really good at exploding and dispersing their heavy elements into the cosmos to seed new, metal-rich young stars. Number 4. Mapping out the stellar content of some sections of the Milky Way in very fine detail, such as with distances and brightnesses, colours or temperatures, ages and metal content, will allow us to study how stars are formed, how they live their lives, and what happens to them in detail when they run out of their nuclear fuel. Astronomers estimate that we will be able to do this for about 15 to 20 billion Milky Way stars just from LSST data alone. It is very hard for us to completely imagine all of the science that the LSST experiment using the Vera C Rubin Observatory will produce. One thing we know for sure is that we astronomers are going to be very excited and very busy for at least the next 20 to 30 years as we sift through all of the data catalogues that will be produced by this experiment. What do you think will be the most exciting discovery found in this experiment? Please let us know in the comments below. We're eager to hear your stories.